The Crosstalk International Ministry Alliance is open for service.
How can they call on Him in whom they have not believed?
Think in the many languages around the world which don't have the Bible.
It's just an imperative that the story be
How
told.
can they believe in Him of whom they have not heard? And how will they hear without a preacher? And how will they preach except they be sent?
SEMA lives.
Shalom, and welcome to another edition of Crosstalk. Many of you are old friends, and I know some of you are new acquaintances. My name is Randy Weiss. I'm a Jewish believer in a Jewish Messiah. Jesus is Lord, and He was such a nice Jewish boy. Does that sound weird? Well, things are going to get even more strange. I have a message of God for you. He loves you, and He has a plan for your life. Do you know what it is? Do you live with a sense of divine purpose, or are you just sort of stumbling through life aimlessly? Do you kind of wonder about the stuff that's happening around you, or are you involved? How do you answer the tough questions about life, like, why am I here? Or, I don't know, how come there's 10 hot dogs in a package but only 8 buns in a bag? Maybe somebody expects you to drop 2 of them dogs before they reach the bun. Well, don't worry about it. Rinse them off and add them to the baked beans. Look, God is not trying to mess up your barbecue, and I'm not wanting to mess up your weekend. But are you ready for what's coming? Pretty soon it's going to get hot down here as we approach the expiration date for planet Earth. Do you live in a meaningful relationship with God? Are you ready to meet the Lord? Let me ask you something. Do you ever think about the second coming? I grew up in a very traditional Jewish home. I used to think the second coming was a Beatles reunion tour. I was wrong, and I wasted 20 years before I met Jesus. You see, nobody told me. And I grew up in a Christian nation. How about you? Are you a true believer? Has anybody ever told you what you need to believe? In this culture, it's hard to tell real Christians from folks that kind of just take up holy space. Are you running the race or just taking up space? God wants us all on active duty. He knew that some of us couldn't go to the ends of the earth, but He made a way for us to team up with some friends that are broadly going at His will. I want to tell you about a wonderful ministry that is a charter member of SEMA, the Crosstalk International Ministry Alliance. And I want you to pray for them and help them do the will of the Father. It is one of the most fruitful ministries in the world. My friend, Dr. K.P. Yohannan, is the founder and president of Gospel for Asia. He serves the thousands of workers who take the message into the most dangerous regions on earth. They teach, preach, baptize, and truly, they make disciples as they tell the lost millions about the wondrous love of God. KP has left an indelible imprint on my personal walk with the Lord. Gospel for Asia supports more than 14,000 full-time pastors, missionaries, and evangelists. They're planting more than 10 new churches every day. Is any other organization in the world birthing 4,000 new churches annually? I don't know of one. I think that's a remarkable statistic. And I'm not talking about church splits or sheep stealing. This is bona fide church growth, new churches that are springing up in nations ruled by Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism. Man, does this excite you, or are you dead? I want to say this in a nice way so that I don't alienate any of my new friends. We live in a society where many believe that all roads somehow lead to God. Tolerance has become the highest virtue, and we're drunk with personal freedom. The church is anemic, and the world is blasting into chaos. If the truth were known, our Christian nation could teach Sodom and Gomorrah about sin. What kind of Christianity do we exhibit? I mean, look, we permit queer bishops, heretic preachers, and greedy shepherds that fleece the sheep right on Christian TV. Okay, I wanted to say it nice, but I couldn't think of a nice way to describe our fallen culture without mentioning abuse, perversion, and deception. And now, let me move from the pulpits and get out into the pews. Christians are known by their love. What do you love? Who gets your time? Who gets your money? There's little hope that our nation will truly return to God. Judgment is certain. Only the timing is at issue. God wants everyone who is awake to announce His coming to the ends of the earth. Okay, I'm done. I'm not going to preach anymore. And in a moment, I want to take you to the headquarters of Gospel for Asia. By the way, would you like a free book that will teach you where the rubber meets the road in world missions?
We are so preoccupied with our own traditions that we cannot think different.
But when you're confronted with the truth,
All those who call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved.
when you're confronted with reality, pain, and suffering, and opportunity,
Then he says, but how can they call on him in whom they have not believed?
I believe that you're just like me. You'll care. You'll want to be involved.
The next question, how can they believe in him of whom they have not heard?
This text will revolutionize people's thinking about world missions.
And how will they hear without a preacher? And how will they preach except they be sent?
If you read this book, you will find the heart of God for the lost.
I would weep my eyes out over the lost millions when 80,000 people die every day and plunge into eternity without Christ.
If you need to be revitalized in your own spirit because you've grown cold, you're so connected to this world, you're so attached to this temporary, passing world.
The greatest need is in the 1040 window reach. Greatest opportunity is right there. Greatest harvest is right there.
I want to appeal to you to call the number on our screen and request a free copy of this book, Revolution in World Missions. I beg you to call.
The question is not how are we going to do the job, but how are they going to hear the gospel?
This book by my brother, Dr. K.P. Yohannan, Revolution in World Missions, will touch you and change you. I dare you to request this book because I promise you if you do, you will be changed. Well, I want to welcome you to the headquarters of Gospel for Asia in Carrollton, Texas. We're here today with a very special brother, and we're going to talk about his book, Revolution in World Missions. And the truth is, the organization with which we're visiting is in the midst of a revolution. And world missions needs to be revolutionized, and I'm here with Dr. K.P. Yohannan, the president and founder of Gospel for Asia, who's kind of at the head of the charge here to make a change. Brother K.P., it's so wonderful to have you here.
We are delighted that you are here. It's good to get to know